The Repayment Assistance Plan, RAP, is the most significant overhaul of income-driven repayment in more than a decade. Created by the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, signed July 4, 2025, RAP launches July 1, 2026, and will be the only income-driven plan available to new borrowers going forward. To understand why RAP exists, you have to understand what broke. The SAVE plan, which came before it, was designed to cap payments as low as $0 for low-income borrowers. It enrolled over 7 million people. Then, courts struck it down in March 2026, and those 7 million borrowers were left without a plan.
I have been in financial coaching long enough to watch 3 generations of income-driven plans get launched, tweaked, and then blown up by court challenges or budget fights. RAP is Congress's attempt to put the income-driven concept on solid statutory footing because it is written into law rather than created by executive order.
The core shift, RAP, measures your ability to pay by your total adjusted gross income, not your discretionary income after a poverty line exemption. That distinction changes the math for every borrower on the plan.
That shift matters enormously for lower earners. And River just put her finger on the critical trade-off we are going to unpack across this episode. Stick with me, because the right decision here depends entirely on your income and loan balance. SE, let me bring you up to speed on who is here.
Bella here. I will notice when someone needs the example repeated.
River here. I pick one strong metaphor over 5 weak ones.
George here. Institutional memory is cheap insurance. I carry a lot of it.
Perfect. Let us get to work.
Here is how the payment tiers work under RAP. If your adjusted gross income is under $10,000 per year, your monthly payment is a flat $10. That is the floor. No one on RAP pays 0.
From there, the percentage scales up by 1% of your annual AGI for every $10,000 income bracket. If you earn between $10,000 and $19,999, your payment is 1% of your AGI divided by 12. Between $20,000 and $29,999, it is 2%.
The ceiling is 10% of AGI for those earning $100,000 or more. Same cap as PAYE, but the base is your full income, not your discretionary income after the poverty exemption.
Let me make this concrete. A borrower earning $50,000 per year falls into the fifth bracket, 5% of AGI divided by 12. That works out to about $208 per month. A borrower in the same situation on new IBR, which uses discretionary income, would likely pay about $140 to $160.
Tub over you. That difference adds up over 30 years. George will say it plainly, RAP costs more per month than legacy IDR for mid-income earners. The trade-off is interest protection and cleaner program rules, which we will get to. Bella, does that math square with what you have seen?
Completely, George. The people who benefit most from RAP are borrowers at the very low end of the income scale. Anyone earning under about $25,000 a year may actually pay less under RAP than they would have under legacy IBR. The math flips somewhere in the middle.
One of RAP's most significant features is interest protection. Under legacy income-driven plans, if your monthly payment was too small to cover accruing interest, your balance grew. Borrowers on SAVE saw this addressed partially. RAP addresses it fully.
The specific rule, borrowers who make their full on-time RAP payment each month will not see their outstanding balance increase due to unpaid interest. The government absorbs the difference between your calculated payment and the interest that actually accrues. That protection did not exist unconditionally under IBR or PAYE.
I want to be precise about what River and the professor are saying. This protection only applies while you are making full, on-time payments. Miss a payment, get behind, or go into administrative forbearance, and interest can run again. The protection is contingent on your behavior.
For borrowers who watched their balance climb for years despite making consistent payments, this matters. The psychological impact of seeing your balance grow even when you are doing everything right is devastating. RAP fixes that, as long as you stay current.
Worth noting, for the first time in federal student loan history, the interest protection is written directly into statute, not a regulatory decision that can be reversed by the next administration. That is the structural stability George mentioned earlier.
Not every borrower is eligible for RAP. Let us go through who qualifies and who does not, because this is where a lot of confusion lives.
And RAP is available to all borrowers with new loans disbursed after July 1st, 2026. Existing borrowers on IBR, PayIE, or ICR can also opt in, but that decision is one way. Once you move to RAP, you cannot return to your old plan.
The exclusions matter just as much. Parent plus loan borrowers cannot use RAP, full stop. And if you have a direct consolidation loan that includes parent PLUS loans, that consolidated loan is also locked out. First, this is a critical point for parents who borrowed for their children.
The one-way door River described is something I want to underscore. If you are on new IBR and your payment under RAP would be higher, switching is a permanent decision with a 30-year forgiveness timeline instead of 20. Run the numbers before you opt in. Verify at StudentAid.gov before making any change.
For borrowers coming off SAVE who have no other option, RAP may be the logical landing spot, especially those earning below $25,000 a year where the payment difference is small and the interest protection is valuable. George, does that match what you would tell a client?
For low-income borrowers displaced from SAVE, RAP is the right move. For someone earning $40,000 or more with a short loan balance they can realistically pay off, standard repayment probably still wins on total cost. The answer always depends on their specific numbers.
Let us run a real comparison. A borrower with $40,000 in undergraduate loans, earning $50,000 per year. Under new IBR, discretionary income would be roughly $31,500, and the payment is 10% of that divided by 12, about $263 per month.
Under RAP, the same borrower at $50,000 in AGI hits the 5% bracket. 5% of $50,000 divided by 12 is about $208 per month. So RAP is actually cheaper here, because the $4,600 poverty line exemption in IBR was smaller than the RAP bracket benefit at this income.
But at $75,000 in earnings, the math shifts. IBR discretionary income is roughly $57,000. Payment is about $475. X at 7.5% of AGI is about $469. They are nearly identical at that income level.
The forgiveness timeline is the other major variable. New IBR forgives after 20 years for borrowers with only undergraduate debt. RAP extends that to 30 years. For a borrower who projects they will have significant remaining balance, an extra 10 years of payments is a real cost, and 10 more years of potential tax liability when forgiveness hits.
Bottom line, use the Federal Student Aid Loan Simulator at StudentAid.gov. Put in your actual numbers. The simulator shows projected payments and total cost under every plan side by side. Do not rely on memory or a general comparison. The exact difference depends entirely on your balance and income.
If you have loans disbursed after July 1st, 2026, RAP will be your default income-driven option when you enroll. There is no new save, no new PAE. The application process is the same. Go to StudentAid.gov, navigate to income-driven repayment plans, and submit a new IDR application.
If you are an existing borrower on IBR, PAE, or ICR, your current plan stays in place until you choose to switch. There is no automatic migration to RAP. The 90-day transition window for SAVE borrowers ran from July 1st through late September 2026. If you were on SAVE, your servicer should have notified you.
3 action items before this episode ends. First, log into StudentAid.gov and confirm what plan you are currently on. Second, run your numbers through the loan simulator. Third, if you are on SAVE or in forbearance from the SAVE court injunction, contact your servicer now to confirm your status. Do not assume.
The anchor here is simple. RAP is durable, statutory, and includes genuine interest protection. Whether it is right for you depends on your income bracket and how long you expect to be repaying. Know your numbers before you move.
Drop a comment below. Are you considering switching to RAP or staying on your current plan? And what is the one number you wish you had before making that decision? In our next video, we tackle how to actually pick the right repayment plan for your situation. See you there. Okay, it is quiz time. Let's find out what's stuck. T. Think through each question carefully before you answer.
Smash that like button and subscribe. It costs nothing, and it means everything to keep this series going.
Under the Repayment Assistance Plan, what is the minimum monthly payment for borrowers whose adjusted gross income is under $10,000 per year? The correct answer is D, $10 per month. No borrower on RAP qualifies for a $0 payment.
What condition must a RAP borrower meet to receive interest protection, meaning their loan balance will not grow from unpaid interest? The correct answer is D. The borrower must make their full on-time RAP payment each month. The protection is contingent on staying current.
Which of the following borrowers is not eligible to use the Repayment Assistance Plan? The correct answer is B, a teacher, a parent who took out a parent policy loan to help pay for their child's college education.
Nice work on those questions. Here is the recap. The Repayment Assistance Plan launches July 1st, 2026 as the only new income-driven option. It uses total AGI, not discretionary income, to calculate your payment, starting at $10 per month at the lowest bracket and capping at 10% for those earning over $100,000.
The interest protection is genuine. Full, on-time payments stop your balance from growing. And the plan is written into statute, which makes it more durable than what came before. But the one-way door on opting in is real. EXIC. For existing IBR or PAE borrowers, run your numbers before you move.
Next video, how to actually pick the right repayment plan for your situation. M, decision tree, the PSLF trade-offs, the split era problem if you have pre and post July 2026 loans. That one ties everything together.
Don't forget to like.
Subscribe so you do not miss it. The plan selection episode is one of the most important in this series. The rules are in place. Now, let us help you figure out which one to use. Professor Erica, signing off.